Good morning. Today is Wednesday, October 22nd. It's 6:26 a.m. Central Time. Figure I'd hit the review a little bit early today as I have some stuff to do in the morning, so I will be missing the morning session, but I'll be back in the afternoon. So I was just here early, caught some trades on micro gold, so I feel pretty decent for the day, so don't have to rush or anything. But quick review here. So as far as earnings, the obviously the big thing is going to be Tesla. So that's going to be happening after hours. So we'll just see what happens going into that. Yesterday we had Netflix, and there was some disappointing earnings because I think they had some tax issues in Brazil, and outside of U.S. and Canada, it looks like growth is slowing. And there's something about Netflix now has only half of the engagement that YouTube has, or something like this. And so that just opens up a lot of questions for the future there. So it's interesting, like Netflix as a business, still doing good, but I think the future outlook is not as good. And so curious to see how Tesla shakes out. I saw something where the ARC, the ARC ETF, I forget the woman's name who leads it, super famous person, just forget her name, but she seems to be super bullish on all the things Tesla. I also saw some news where SpaceX and XAI are buying Cybertrucks, and so there's some open question on, I guess, where the revenue is coming from for Tesla. So we'll just see how all that shakes out. But that is, I think, the big thing going into today, or going into end of day. um, I guess we can look at options flow really quick. And let me just take off the my watch list here really quick. So the flow for yesterday is, for Tesla, was a little bit bearish, and if we do, I guess, expiring this week or the next week, bearish. Expiring today, no. I guess I don't have those. So yeah, I guess short term it is bearish, more bearish. And but no crazy bets. um no, like $1 billion bets or anything, so I'm not too worried. I mean, we have like 1 point something $1 million here on expiring on Friday. If these were in the millions, I would kind of really pay attention, but they're not super big, so we'll see how it goes. But the flow looks bearish there. If we look at watch lists, so I just have my watch list now here. Whoa, for the Qs, what happened here? This expires today. So on the Qs, we have, let me zoom in here. Quite interesting. So we have expiry today, $4 million expiring today. Um, and so these were opened at 10:22. Oh, expires today. I guess they were open yesterday in the morning. So that is interesting. 6:15. So we'll look at that. But um, I mean, we held up pretty good yesterday. So I don't know if they're still in this or not. But that is just kind of interesting for me. Um, I'm actually quite curious now. If we look at, so the Qs are currently at 610, and our low was about 609. Oh yeah, I mean, so these were just in the money. So either way, they're making money on these. So I wonder if they're expecting a nice sell off here for today. So that's interesting. I'm just gonna take a screenshot of that. This is the first time I'm seeing this. So I'm gonna take a screenshot of this here. Maybe share that out. Totally missed that. So we'll just see how these pan out today. So it's kind of cool. But anyway, so I put this little I've had this watch list where I'm watching, and but always been watching SPY and Qs. I've added gold. I think, just with the volatility now with gold, I think it's worth looking at. And I'll just have to kind of pay attention to whatever news and stuff might drive gold. But I think gold's interesting because it's kind of in between the Qs and the SPY when it comes to the leverage that you get for the margin that you need. And yeah, like SPY is like the nice slow one. Qs can move pretty quickly. Gold can move pretty quickly, but maybe not so much. But like the tick values are actually more than the Qs, which is quite kind of interesting. Um, and so just kind of testing it out and learning a little bit more about it. But um, I think just paying attention to all three, given all the rotation back and forth, might be interesting. And they're all three are very liquid, highly traded in futures. So, yeah, so we'll kind of keep that in mind. But I have this as a filter, and so when I look at for the watch list for gold, SPY, and Qs that expire in a week, so all three together are bearish. And when you look at the Qs are, I would say, the most bearish. It looks like, and then you look at SPY. Not as bearish, it's a little bit lower. See, highest premium is more bullish here, expiring in a week, so that's interesting. In gold, bearish, 800,000 or so is the biggest premium. So I would say we're spending more on the Qs for the downside, millions more, for the top few rows there. So that's kind of interesting. So I'll be keeping an eye on that. For dark pools that were printed yesterday, let's see if anything is noteworthy in the billions. 671, about $1 billion here, which is kind of where price is. So I'm not really gonna mark it right now just because I'm not trading the opening session, but I'll come back in the afternoon and see. But that is something to kind of keep in mind, kind of where we've closed. If we look at Qs, no billions, 611, so kind of where we closed. So it's kind of where we are. So it doesn't really tell me too much. Gold, not too big dark pools here, 100 million. So I haven't really started looking at dark pools for gold. So I don't know if 100 million is a lot or not. I know in the Qs and SPY, like a billion is when you really should start paying attention. So I'll double check on gold. But it looks like we had some dark pools printed currently at the lows of where we are. So we'll just see what that means. Um, so we'll keep an eye on that when I come back. As far as what's happening, so checking what's happening in AI land. So it looks like AI on Grok says NQ sentiment is neutral and choppy. ES is mildly bullish. And then I guess we're having obviously a bearish correction in gold. That's pretty obvious. And then we have the for GPT, we got bullish on NQ, neutral to bearish on ES, and I guess kind of rotation out of gold, which is what we are seeing anyways. So let's see, neutral to choppy and Grok, mildly bullish on ES, and we got bullish on NQ, neutral to bearish on GPT for ES. So they're not agreeing here. And if we look at Claude, we got bullish for NQ, neutral to bullish, and bearish for gold. So I think, oh, yeah, that's fine. So I think everybody agrees on gold. We don't have agreement across NQ and ES. So I think Grok is saying we're a little bit bearish. GPT is kind of in the middle, and then now Claude is bullish on NQ. So there's not agreement across the AI models, which is interesting. So I think it can go either way. And then as far as what's happening in the news, yeah, so stocks and US futures struggle as the gold, whatever. Um, so I think that kind of says it all. Nothing else really on the docket. A lot of earnings though. So we got Tesla, we got IBM, we got SAP, we got the calls and everything. So big deals here after hours for tech. I think these are all going to impact NQ. So that'll be interesting, and obviously the SPY as well with Tesla. And then we got American Airlines, a bunch of other earnings there. I saw something on the news where CPI numbers might get released. I don't know if it's, oh, yes, on the 24th, on Friday. So we're going to get CPI on Friday. So that is something to look forward to. So we'll see how the earnings pan out. And then maybe we're kind of, it's interesting. And so maybe that's why people have such big bets on on the Qs for Friday. So that is something I will be paying attention to today. Um, there could be some interesting option plays there. But yeah, I think maybe now that we have, it really all depends on how Tesla earnings happen today. That'll set the tone for Thursday, going into Friday with CPI. So maybe we're just going to be kind of range bound, and maybe there's some volatility depending on what happens with Tesla. That'll be after hours, and then maybe Friday is more range bound, and then we'll see how things go with CPI. So that's interesting. So maybe I won't be so eager to hang on to trades until then. Cool. So I guess let's look at how things look on the charts. I guess we'll start with Megatech since we're already here. So for Apple, we're eking another high, which is amazing. Pre-market, we're kind of below the close. I did see Kramer say something about buying more Apple, and so it's like, well, I wonder if there's a put, like if there's like some short action here, especially with CPI and all that. I wonder if Apple would have a reaction. So that is something I will kind of pay attention to. Could be interesting. Microsoft just kind of coiling and coming back to life here. Amazon, yep, there you go. We broke up, gapped up. You know, we're kind of pre-market. We're back at the opening price, but we did push up yesterday. So there you go. Google had a big flush down. I guess maybe because we had, was there news or something? Um, Not really sure, but flush back into the EMA and close in the middle of the candle, but pre-market we're back at the open. So maybe, you know, that's just kind of a quick correction as we swept and made new highs. So we'll watch that. I think to be more confident in the upside, I would have loved for Google and Apple to be moving together, but Apple is now the only one leading, where Google kind of fell off. And as we made that high, kind of fell off. So it's kind of cautious for me at the all time highs there, but we'll see. Meta, we're kind of breaking out of this little consolidation, which is good, but closed red, pre market's a little bit towards the lows. So strong, but not super strong. Nvidia, I would really like to see Nvidia kind of break up above this to feel more bullish. I think we're holding up great, but I don't know that we're pushing up higher, and Nvidia is not leading with Apple. So that is something to watch. Tesla, we got earnings, so let's just see how things go here. And NQs are the Qs. Um, so I mean, everything still looks up. You know, I think there's everything still looks like it's holding up and poised. You know, I think we just have to really see what happens with Tesla. Again, not I'm kind of cautious to see what happened with Google here as Apple eked out a new high, since they were leading together yesterday. So we'll just kind of see. But you know, they're holding up. So that is Megatech. I guess we can look at Megaspy, and then we'll go back to the indexes here. So we got Broadcom, same as yesterday. Berkshire, same as yesterday. JP Morgan Chase, trying to break out, falling back over, broke the lows. So that is a little bit cautious to me. Um, you know, let's see if we test those lows again. LLY, trying to come back, falling over a bit, pulling back. Nothing noteworthy there. Visa, just sideways. I mean, we're up if you zoom out, but just sideways action. Netflix had the earnings, um, gave, you know, if it's been in this range, it was at the top of that range. Now we're at the bottom of the range, and we'll just see if we fall over now. So let's see. Costco, just kind of hanging out. It hasn't closed that gap like I thought. It's holding up there. So there you go. Um, so I think for the SPY, we're just kind of holding up. I mean, that's really what things look like. I think if JP Morgan or Netflix kind of break those lows, then, you know, we'll see. So that's interesting. For yeah, for the indexes here, so we got the Qs I was hoping for like not hope. Well, I guess I was hoping, just taking some shorts during like Asia session yesterday, and I was really hoping for follow through breaking down. Didn't quite do it. It's been kind of bouncing out around. But now with the open New York Open coming, I do wonder if we do break this low, because that would signal and signal more downside, obviously. And if you had those Q puts, that would be good. Um, but I think they're all kind of following each other. So the Dow actually eked out a new high. No, barely swept, like just barely. If it printed a new high, it's barely. It did barely print a new high. So just barely, and it fell back over, or not fell back over, but didn't break through. So we'll see. It's been kind of a rotation there. Russell. So I guess now that Russell has room for the new all-time high, I wonder if we rotate our Dow into Russell to push us up. Um, I think NQ tested, didn't quite make it. So, there could be a short there. I don't know if it's probably a coin flip, but risk reward, could be something. So, we're kind of at all-time highs. The last time we were at all-time highs, we had that fall over. Um, Here when we were all-time highs here, we had pushed up, fell over, eked out, pushed up, fell over, then broke out, and then fell over. So I wonder how things will happen here. So definitely we'll be watching that. Like I said, I'm gonna miss the morning session, so we'll just see what things look like when I get back in the afternoon. And then VIX kind of cooling off here. Dollar, it was just kind of eking, coming back to life a little bit. Green, green. So there you go. Treasury yields. Oh wow! So we broke these lows here of September. So that's interesting. We'll just keep an eye on that. And wow. So it's pretty amazing on gold. So I took a couple short scalps here, but it looks like there was so much more to have, which is fine. Can't get too comfortable um, pre-market anyways. But that's pretty cool. So I think for me, let's see if we can push back up to this 491 as where we broke down. I mean, I think it's like looking at gold. I mean, it's down a lot. I mean, but you zoom out, it's been up, 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 right? And it's been up, a lot since August, like kind of straight up. So this was first major pullback. I feel like there's a lot of people who still think like this could go higher, right? To 5,000, 20,000, and all that. Um, obviously, if you're buying here, this is a great stop. This is also a great level. So for me, I think maybe we'll look at it at the trading charts. I feel like bulls would still try to buy this up for now. And so I think we probably have to see them come in, push us back up before we look for like a sustained short. But anyways, we'll see. I'm just be watching that and trading that as we go. And so I guess we can look at the trading chart here really quick. Yeah, and so for gold, as we're kind of watching it, oh shit, is that real? Oh no, it's not real. Yeah, so I think definitely watching this, like this 40-20, if we break that. And I would like a push back up into this previous 4-hour low to entertain any shorts later today. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. You see kind of volume picking up right here. So we'll see if we can kind of push back up, zoom up past here. If we can get back up to here, I'd be interested in a nice short to kind of hang on to that. If you look at regular trading hours, though, there's like a nice big gap here to close. So, well, like maybe that's within play over the next few days. So we shall see. Um, the Qs here, I think, obvious for me is going to be this previous day low, right? This 25 200s. That's just what I'm paying attention to, and then probably this opening price. But for me, it's like the 2200s are all-time highs. Like that is important levels. And for the ES here. Oop. Similar to the Qs. Previous day low here. I'm just kind of watching to see how price reacts there. And if we get back up to test these resistance, we're kind of in a channel right now. And so I'd love for us, if I come back and we're still in the channel, like I'm open to kind of just ping ponging scalping either way. But I would like to either break or sweep this previous day low and see. And if we continue going lower to these dark pull levels, like I'm super open to it. Or if it holds and sweeps and just kind of hangs out, then maybe we'll kind of go back up and try to test highs. Um, Open to both sides. I think everybody's just based on the option flow is a little bit more bearish. So open to all that. Well, I think that's it for me. Like I said, I'm not going to be here for the morning session, but I'll be here for the afternoon session and we'll just see how we go. Cool. Well, thanks for hanging out and don't get caught. Thank you.